everyone, Miss Corvino here with 6th grade ELA. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Today, we're going to be working on identifying themes. So let's get started. Today is Tuesday, July 7th, 2020, and we're going to start off by looking at our goals for the day. So we have two goals today. Goal number 1, I can determine a theme for the Pixar short film titled Lifted. And goal number 2, I can engage in a respectful and thoughtful digital discussion with my classmates on Flipgrid. So those are the two goals that we're going to be keeping in mind today. Now, remember that at the end of today's lesson, as always, we'll be looking back at our goals and reflecting on whether or not we were able to accomplish them. So keep them in mind as we're working through today's lesson today. All right, so you might be thinking to yourself, what actually is a theme? Like Miss Corvino is telling me we got to work on theme today. I never heard of this before. So we're going to get started by talking about what a theme actually is. So here's the definition of a theme. A theme is a message, a lesson, or a moral of a story that the author wants you to learn. A theme is usually not stated in the story. Usually, we as readers have to infer the theme. So basically, an author will never come out and tell you, here's the story, here's what happens, and the theme is blank. They'll never tell you that. It doesn't happen very often at all. So as a reader, you need to think about your story, summarize your story for yourself, and then you need to make an inference in order to come up with that theme, that lesson that the author wants you to learn. So some ways that you can do that, there are 3 things you can think about. Number 1, how is the problem or the conflict in the story solved? Number 2, what did the characters learn? And number 3, what does the author want me to think about, as in you, the reader? What do you think the author wants you to learn? All right, so you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I know what a theme is. I understand that definition. But now I'm going to provide you with an actual strategy, 3 steps that you can take to help you identify a theme on your own. So step 1 is to summarize. We've been practicing summary writing for several weeks now. You guys should be pros at this. Just to review, whenever we write a summary, we're thinking about the who, which is the characters, the where and the when, which is the setting, and the what, the why, and the how, which is the plot. So you read a story or you watch a movie, you get any kind of story, you need to think about the who, the where, the when, the what, the why, the how, and summarize it in just a few sentences. Now, we're going to add 2 steps today to help us get to that theme, that goal for our day. So step 2 is to answer these 2 reflection questions. So after you summarize the story, you know what happened, you know who's involved. You're going to think, what did the character learn? And how was the problem solved? After you think about those 2 things, you can finally move on to step 3, which is our final step for determining a theme, which is our goal for today. So you're going to ask yourself, this is what happened in the story, right? We'll look back at our summary. This is what the characters learned and how the problem was solved. And now using that information, I'm going to think, what is the message or the lesson or the moral that the author or filmmaker wants me to learn? Remember, you as a reader, what is the takeaway? What is the lesson you could apply to your own life? So that's the strategy. We're going to go into some practice now with a short story called The Lion and the Boar. Some of you might have read this story before. For some of you, it might be new. Either way, it should be okay for today. So we're going to read this story together, and then we're going to practice using that 3-step strategy for coming up with a theme. So let's read this together. On a hot summer afternoon, a lion and a boar felt very thirsty. So right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself, this sounds like the setting. I'm reading about that hot summer afternoon and 2 characters, the lion and the boar. So I'm going to keep that in mind for later because I know that is necessary for my summary. All right, continuing on. While looking for water to quench their thirst, they came to a well to drink water, but reached there at the same time. They quarreled as to who would drink the water first. Soon, the quarrel turned into a violent fight, and they started hurting each other. Yikes, guys, that doesn't sound very good. It sounds like it's a big problem, a big conflict. I think that's a big event in our plot, so I'm going to try to remember that for later, because remember, our major events should always be in our summaries. All right, the fight continued for a long time. Both of them were badly wounded, but they continued fighting. At one point, they stopped to catch their breath and saw two hungry vultures sitting above them on a tree. So for me, from my background knowledge, I know that vultures might try to feast on the lion and the boar. I know that's kind of what their behavior is like, and that's not good. So I'm thinking that might be another major event in the story. So that's a big part of our plot. So I should remember that for later when I write my summary. All right, the vultures were looking at them and were waiting for them to kill each other so they could come down and feed on their bodies. This sight made the lion and the boar realize the uselessness of the fight. They at once made up, saying, "It is wiser for us to become friends rather than be eaten up by vultures and crows." So it seems like they were able to resolve their problem. It seems like the ending of the story had some sort of resolution. That should probably go in my summary too. It had a clean ending. So let's think about how we can use this 3-step strategy for coming up with a theme for this particular story. So we read The Lion and the Boar, right? And like I said, we've been practicing summary writing for a really long time now. So I'm going to use that strategy that hopefully I remember off the top of my head, using the who, the where, and the when, and then the what, the why, and the how to come up with my summary. So on a hot day, there's my setting. A lion and a boar are fighting over who should drink the water first. So I have my setting, I have my characters, and I have my first event of the story, that conflict. Then they spot some vultures who are hoping to feast on them. The lion and the boar decide to stop arguing and instead be friends. So those are the 2 or 3 major events in the story that I included in my summary. All right, so summary, we got it down. Now we're going to move into steps 2 and 3 in order to come up with our theme. And this is the new addition for today. So I have my summary. I know what happened. I know who's involved. Now I need to think, what did the characters learn? And how is that problem solved? So I think after reading that story that the lion and the boar learned that it is actually better to just be friends with people than to have so many enemies. So it's better to be friends rather than enemies. I'm also thinking that the problem was solved at the end when the lion and the boar decided that being friends will help them survive. All right, so now that I'm comfortable with those reflection questions, thinking about those characters and the resolution of the problem, I'm ready to move on to step 3. Step 3 is to determine our theme. That is our goal for today, and I'm feeling ready for it. So in order to determine a theme, I need to think about this question. What is the lesson that the author or the filmmaker is trying to teach you about life? Remember, you as in the reader. So I'm thinking, what do I think that author wanted me to learn, right? It's not about the lion and the boar anymore. It's about me. What lesson can I apply to my own life now? So I looked back at my summary. I reread it just to be sure. I reread my answers to those 2 reflection questions. And here's what I came up with. I said, the lesson that the author is trying to teach us is that it is better to have friends instead of enemies. Now, I was also wondering after I came up with that theme, if it could also be that in life, arguing never leads to success. Is it possible that I could have both of those? So the answer to that is yes. When you're a reader, you can come up with a theme, and somebody else reading the same story might come up with another theme. So it is possible that there's more than one accurate theme for a story. So you and a classmate might have different interpretations of what the theme might be, and that is okay. All right, so now it's your turn. So you are going to watch a short film called Lifted. It's a Pixar short film. And your goal after watching that film is to identify a theme for the story. So you're going to watch the short film. It is linked on Google Classroom. It's called Lifted. It'll be on your Google Classroom assignment for today, and you're going to watch it twice. On the first viewing, I want you to just watch the video and think about the elements of the summary. So just like I did when I read the story, I was thinking about the who, the where, the when, the what, the why, and how. So while you're watching the video the first time, that's what I want you to do. Just think about those elements of the summary. All right, then I'm going to ask you to watch it a second time. And on the second time you watch the movie or the film, I want you to practice using that 3-step strategy for finding a theme that I just showed you guys with the story. So just a quick review. Step 1, you'll be summarizing the film. Step 2, you'll be answering those reflection questions. And step 3, you'll be coming up with a theme. So you'll do that independently. Once you're done figuring out a theme and you feel confident, you feel sure of yourself, I'm going to ask that you guys log into Flipgrid to engage in a discussion with your classmates. So we've used Flipgrid before. Hopefully you guys are used to it. My ask is that you go onto Google Classroom. Again, it's on our assignment for today. You're going to open up the link to our Flipgrid discussion. The link is available for you on Google Classroom. You will then create a video post and share the theme that you identified with your classmates. So you'll think, remember to use complete sentences when you're speaking to. So you'll say, oh, when I was watching the Pixar film Lifted, I thought the theme was blank. So that'll be what you're sharing on your video post. And step 3 for your discussion, I'd like you to reply to at least 2 of your classmates on Flipgrid. When you reply to your classmates, you can do 3 things. You can either agree or disagree with your classmate respectfully. You can elaborate on what your classmate is saying, so you can build on it or piggyback off their ideas. Or you can pose a question for your classmate. Now, if you need a refresher on how to use Flipgrid, please remember that we have the How to Use Flipgrid guide on our Google Classroom. There's a link available to you. I linked it again today, so you should have the ability to click that and just use that as a refresher for how to actually use it. It tells you how to log in, what to click, how to record, how to reply, all that good stuff. Now, also keep in mind, make sure that you guys are looking back at your post later in the day to see the replies that your classmates are leaving you. It's possible a classmate may ask you a question and you'll have an opportunity to then reply to them again. I will also personally be leaving replies onto your post to give you some feedback, just so you can kind of get an understanding of how well you are understanding this new skill of finding a theme. So look out for my videos. All right, last but not least, as always, we're going to end our day today by reflecting and looking ahead. So we're going to start off daily reflection. Let's look back at today's goals. Today's goals: I can determine a theme for the Pixar short film titled Lifted. I can engage in a respectful and thoughtful discussion with my classmates on Flipgrid. So looking back at those goals, you'll open up your daily reflection log and just respond to the same questions we always do every day. Did you accomplish today's goals? Why or why not? And lastly, looking ahead, tomorrow you guys are going to be tasked with independently determining a theme in your independent reading text. So today we did some practice together using the video that we all watched, and we were able to communicate about it as a group. Tomorrow your task is going to be apply this new skill of finding a theme on your own with your own independent reading text. As always, if you're having any challenges today with either understanding theme or accessing Flipgrid or having trouble with Google Classroom, I'm always available via email, on Google Classroom, Remind, Zoom. Any way you can get in touch with me, I'll be available all day, and I can provide you with that one-on-one support. All right, guys, you're off. Have a great day, and look out for me on Flipgrid. See you tomorrow.